Hello, hello. Good morning, Blenders. Good morning to everyone. Happy Wednesday. Am I correct? It's a Wednesday. And another exciting episode, interview here at the Freelance Blend podcast and Freelance Blend page. First of all, I'd like to talk about our upcoming Blenders party on Saturday. So for those who signed up, thank you very much. We're finalizing everything, and I'm so excited. I'm sure this will be one of the best parties we'll be having for freelancers. I don't know if um, freelancers have ever had a Christmas party like this, so I'm so excited. And I apologize for those that who tried to sign up and registration is closed. So don't worry. Since this is our first party, we'll make sure that next year it's bigger and we can accommodate everyone. So yeah, before I introduce our guests, I'd like to say hi to our viewers. Hi, Joanna. Hi, is this Josie? Hello. Is my audio video clear? No problem. Say please comment below if you can hear me. Say yes. Okay ba? Wala bang problema? So I hope that this is streaming perfectly, unlike before na we had a technical problem. So hi to everyone and to our replay viewers also. Thank you for watching. We have a special guest for today. So yeah, mukhang walang audio problems. Tama ba? Let me check my the chat. Okay. Sige, just please let me know if there are problems. Ayun. Yes daw sabi ni Joanna. Ayan. Hi Joanna. How are you? So si Joanna is one of our committee members for the party. So we're getting ready for the party on Saturday. And yun pala, final reminders, if you're going to the party and we know the traffic, the Christmas rush, so the party is at 5, we start the registration at 5 p.m. So please come in, leave your house early kasi let's expect na it's a Saturday and it will be maraming Christmas parties around, so it will be traffic. Okay, so I'd like to introduce our very special guest for today. I'd like to read her bio. So our guest for today is PJ Aguilar. She loves supporting business owners with a mission who are empowered to bring their passions to life. She is the strategy and vision designer at Simplicity Business Support, helping passionate solopreneurs with web presence, online marketing, and tech support. For the busy sole trader who'd love to get time back for themselves and their creative work, PJ and her team take the load off with online business support. PJ has over 14 years experience in marketing, communications, business development, and administration. Prior to being in business, she held key roles in the Australian government, corporate sector, and academia. These include business management across different portfolios, national, social marketing campaigns, and research. She has a bachelor's degree in psychology, a certificate in training and assessment, and is currently completing her studies in new small business. PJ loves running and yoga and lives in Canberra, Australia with her husband Greg and her two sons, Jacob and Matt. Just a background, no? So as I mentioned in the description, si PJ is Pinoy based in Australia, and I met her through I think the very first online course that I took, which is Internet Business Mastery by Jeremy Franzen and Jason Van Orden. The reason I took that course kasi I was just starting yung podcast, and my idol Pat Flynn mentioned in a podcast na he took that course when he was starting. That's why I also took that course. And I think ayun yung isa sa mga first online business courses. And the community, apart from the content, the community was very active and supportive. And I met PJ there, and kami siguro din yung one of the few Filipinos in the group, and that's why we connected. And since then, we've been communicating from time to time. And so for this time, I invited her on the show for her to share her experience as a freelancer and as an online business owner in Australia. And she also works with freelancers. So we'll talk about that. So without further ado, ang haba ng intro, no? I'd like to welcome PJ Aguilar. Hi, PJ.
Hi, kamusta, Marv?
Mabuti. So, are you confident with your Tagalog? We can go 100% Tagalog.
Pasensya na lang kayo sa Tagalog ko.
No, just kidding. Okay naman yung Tagalog mo, pero yeah.
Okay lang.
So, we gave I read your bio, gave you your background. Pero siguro give us your background. How diyan ka ba pinanganak? Did you come from the Philippines? And how did you reach being an online entrepreneur from siguro nga from how you started as an online entrepreneur?
Sure. All right. Well, firstly, thank you so much for having me on your show, and hi everyone. I live in Canberra in Australia. I was born in Manila in Quezon City.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was 10 when we migrated. That was 1991. So I pretty much grew up here. But good morning, Althea. So so I think I was in grade 3. So we lived in Quezon City. Both my parents, they worked at the university, so UP.
Okay.
Yeah, but a lot of my family then migrated here to Australia. So I went to school here, and obviously I've got my own family now. And it was interesting listening to your intro, because the Internet Business Mastery course was also the first online course that I did as well.
Yeah.
And I remember listening to the Freelance Blend podcast. I would literally listen to it on the way to work. And then I have to stop, go to work, go to my 9 to 5. And then I'll finish work for the day, and then I'll put it on again, and I'm listening to you.
Wow.
So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It was great, and I mean, I love podcasts, but I've never listened to a Tagalog podcast before. And so congrats with everything. I think that was, when did you start? Like 2013 or something, I think.
Not that's too far. About 2015.
Was it 2015? Oh, I thought it was more.
Yeah. Or 14. I forget.
Yeah, it's all a blur.
Anyway,
maybe that's it. Yes, that's 3 years ago. So I did, when I first joined that online course, like I did have an offline business. I was running a yoga business, which we still have. But having a young family, I really wanted a little bit more flexibility. And so I was interested on what you could do on the internet. I too followed Pat Flynn, and that's how I heard about the course as well. And it was and it still is a really great community. So at the time, and like many of us freelancers, we start things on the side. We start a side gig. And I think that's really the beauty of it, because you can keep having your corporate job or whatever job you have, but then you can build something on the side. And I think that's the freedom that freelancing gives us. So anyway, over the years, I did go into my main business was business coaching. So I was coaching a lot of women in yoga businesses or wellness businesses. But then what I found was a lot of them wanted more than the coaching. They wanted help with their website. They wanted help with their marketing. And then it also got to the point where I couldn't I couldn't scale it anymore. Like when you're doing, as anyone knows who's been in the coaching field, and I know you've done some mentoring as well, it's very time intensive, which is fantastic, but then you can't grow it. So hi Josie. So, and then as it happened, a lot of my clients were like, okay, I want you to coach me, but I want you to make me a website. I want you to do, they wanted things to outsource, but they've never outsourced before. So I said, okay, well, why not? I've created websites myself. I'm quite comfortable in the online space. So then I helped them with that. And as I was growing my businesses, especially my offline business, it was actually in 2012 that I hired my first VA. And he was from the Philippines as well. I needed help with graphic design, actually. And so over the years, and that was through, what was Upwork before? Odesk. It was Odesk. Yeah. So I have been using VAs for a few years, and I went through quite a few until I could find people that I could trust, and we worked well together. And one of them, Christy, we still work together today. So I think it's probably been about about 4 years, which is great. And then, so this year, I expanded and I launched Simplicity Business Support. And the idea of that is now I myself, because I'd become a freelancer myself, so that I could keep value adding to what my clients needed, to the point that now I have more freelance clients than coaching clients. And then I've also got a small team who then help me support other people grow their business. So that's me in a nutshell.
Okay, so I'll just rewind a bit when you were starting. So your freelancing was the coaching. I remember, I think that you were also a yoga teacher. But before that, were you in the corporate world? Do you have a corporate gig, and your coaching were side gigs? Coaching and yoga teaching were side gigs?
Yeah, so I worked. So here in Canberra, I worked in the private sector, in the university, in marketing communications. But then my biggest stint, I was working for the Australian government. So we were doing social marketing campaigns and programs. And then on the side of that, so it was 2010 when I started my side gig, which, so I'm actually not a yoga teacher, but I still run a yoga business. And my business partner is the yoga teacher. And it was through that I started to meet other entrepreneurs, and then they wanted business support. So I think that's a really valuable lesson, that you just give things a go, and then you meet people and you find out what they need, and then you develop your own skills. And then what I found, which might be the experience of a lot of your freelancers, is then you can translate the skills that you have in the corporate world, your admin skills, your tech skills. And it's actually things you can translate into freelancing, where some people might think, a lot of people find the online world very intimidating or organizing or admin. But if it's something that comes naturally to you, then that's a skill that's really valuable. And that's for your own freelance career. And it helps support your clients and grow their business.
Now, so you 2010 you created those side businesses while you were working. I'm just curious, what made you think of creating those businesses if it appears that you have a good job in the corporate world? So what made you decide to create those businesses, and also think about online businesses and signing up for that course? yeah, I'm curious what pushed you to look outside what your world, look outside your world at that time.
Well, I guess I can say this now because I've quit my job, so it doesn't matter if my boss is listening. No, look, it's interesting. I actually started my first side gig when I was on maternity leave. So in Australia, you get, I think I took, it wasn't even much, I can't even remember, a few months leave where, you know, you're paid while you're home with your baby. So my son's 8 years old now. But while I was home with him, I thought, I just want to start something for myself. And that's where I was doing a lot of yoga. So I thought, if I can run a it's a retreat, maybe other people will be interested as well. So it really started as a hobby business. But then it actually became quite profitable, and, you know, people were interested. And so I went back to my 9-to-5 job. And at that time, when I was very lucky, I was able to go back part-time. I think I was doing 3 days a week and then 4 days a week. And I think this is it's a double-edged sword, and be interested to know how many of your listeners relate to it. Obviously, you know, we've gone to school, we've gone to university, we've got all these skills. And I did enjoy my job. Like I was, I liked marketing and I liked working with people. But I knew that I also had a young family, and it was taking a lot of long hours. So I wanted to eventually be able to go into business full time for myself. But because we had a young family, you know, I had to think about security as well. And we've spoken about this in the past. So I thought, well, okay, if I want to create something down the track, I need to start with something small. And that's what I did. And then that course that you spoke about, that's the first time that I actually paid money to do a course. And it seemed like a lot of money. I don't know if it seemed like a lot of money to do.
But I don't think compared to other courses I've taken. So I think if I remember, it's about $300. Am I correct?
I think it was 500 Australian dollars.
500.
But
Okay,
maybe,
so US,
maybe it was American. Yeah.
Yeah, American. So
Yeah.
for me at that time, it's really for something like a course, paying something that. But now I pay like double that.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. So you discovered that online business course, IBM, and then so you already had the yoga business at the time. So what did you learn from IBM that you applied on the yoga course or for the yoga business?
I think it was really about gaining my confidence, growing my confidence online. So even though it's an offline business, the way that I was doing my copy, the way that I write, the way that I was engaging in Facebook, and it was really a nice space just to be creative. And I think that's the advantage. If you have a day job, you can experiment because you're not relying on the income of your side gig or your freelance career. And that's where you can, quote unquote, make mistakes, and you can take some risks, and it was good. And the thing that it really taught me was about the reach that you have with the internet, right? And for very little money, and I could stay connected with people. The other thing, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with as well, I think it was actually Tim Ferriss's book. That's the first time that, 4-Hour Work Week?
4 Hour, yeah.
Yeah. So it's the first time that I learned about freelancing and that you could actually get a virtual assistant. Yeah, and outsource.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah? Okay, cool. Because even in Australia, when you're just starting in business, you can't afford to pay a staff member, and you've got such limited time already. And that's where I really started to realize the value of outsourcing. And I know we'll talk a little bit more about that. But yeah, I guess that's how I started.
Okay. So when you started after learning in IBM and applying the um, the courses, the things that Jeremy and Jason taught us. So is that when you became a business coach, an online business coach, and I remember we had one mastermind session with another guy, and we were talking about having an online coaching business. So how did that go for you?
So I guess the other thing that that course gave me the confidence to do, and listening to people like you, Marv, is that's when I launched my first podcast. And at that time, and this is probably something that a lot of us experience, you feel like, who am I to teach other people? Who am I to help other people? And that's what that course really taught me, is that as long as you're interested and you're passionate about something,
and you're just a step ahead, right? You're just a step ahead of your target audience, target customers.
And
so that gave you the confidence.
Definitely.
Sorry.
So that my first podcast. Oh, and so this is how I got into the coaching, because all of a sudden when I get behind the mic, I could access anyone in the world. So I was interviewing a lot of successful women in wellness businesses, yoga, massage, everything. And that's when it really opened up the world to me, that the internet can connect us to anyone. And so it was through, and then I became the person who, I can ask them questions similar to what you're doing. And not only does it help me grow, but it helps my community grow. Exactly. And people that you interview are so generous with their time, but they're also really practical. And so that's where I thought, okay, this is going to be really useful for people. And then from then on, I started having one-on-one clients and really working with them. I studied coaching to get a certification in coaching, just to add my skills to it. So I've been doing that for a couple of years. And then I guess, and from then on, it evolved to, not only did people want the coaching, but they wanted practical support, because people are very time poor. And the more they grow their business, the more they have to let go. And so it was really in the last 12 months that, because that's what my clients asked for, so that's what I gave them. And then gradually I moved more into the using up more of my time freelancing. And I mean, I still coach them, like it's like a consultation, but not only do I help them with the mindset and the motivation and, keeping on track, but now they can also hand off bits of their business, and myself and my team can help them do that.
Yeah, that's a very good example of like freelancers, even like those who are not in the coaching, like if they're virtual assistant, a graphic designer, can actually pivot into coaching. And I see this here in the Philippines in our community. I'm just curious, how are you able to market and promote your coaching? Is it because of the podcast they discover you, or and so people, and you have a website, people approach you, or did you also were you also proactive in approaching clients?
Yes, so a lot of my coaching clients were local. So it was either people who knew me and who would ask me, they knew that I had a yoga business, so they wanted help with theirs. I also did a lot of workshops and guest speaking at existing events. So Kung Pumai Festival or something like that. Because but I think with like with anything, it's education for us, it's experience. And then the return on investment is the clients that you get afterwards, and the connections that you make.
Yeah. So you in a way, first you approach your network, and then you got involved in workshops and speaking engagements, and people discovered you there, contacted you. So in a way, it added to your assets of your brand. And the podcast also helps in building authority. So that, because that's the same thing that that happened to me. Like I don't get direct clients from podcasts, but knowing that I have a podcast, and I think it's like also a calling card. And again, it adds authority. So people will naturally, and if they hear you and they like what they talk about, they naturally approach you for coaching. So for our freelancers, our listeners, what do you suggest? How do you think they should, if they want to go into the coaching business, how should they start?
I think you could start by being very clear on what skills do you want to focus on. And often the skills that come most naturally to us is what we overlook, right? So when I think back now, it was probably, I was only in my first yoga business for a few years when someone asked me to make a website for them. And I said no. I'm like, I'm not a web designer. I don't want to do that. Which is funny because, 8 years later, that's exactly what I'm doing. So have a think about what you enjoy, because when you coach other people, you really need to be confident about it. And it needs to be a space where you can mentor other people. At the same time, you don't need to know everything, because the idea with coaching and in pure coaching is about understanding what your client or your coachee, your mentor needs, and then helping them find their own path. So you don't necessarily have to, train them step by step, because if they wanted to do that, they would go sign up for a course. What they want is the accountability, the having someone in their corner, having that support. So if that eases some of the pressure about having to be, having to know everything before you try coaching, then, I encourage you to think like that. And in fact, I think it was another member of our IBM course that told me, and he'd been a coach for a long time, and because I was being asked by clients, can you coach me? And I thought, I'm not a coach, like I can't do this. And I think his name was Jeremy as well. Anyway, he said to me, he said, you're going to do it anyway. You're going to help them with all that you have. You're going to be doing it with care. Why not get paid while you build your own skills in coaching? So I think the only way to start is to start. So if someone asks you, can you help me? First step is to say yes. Worry about how
and figure out after. Yeah. And again, it's the same thing that we learned in the course, that you need to be just a step ahead of your target customers or your audience, and that's what I followed also. I didn't know anything about freelancing when I started, and I learned as I went, and then also got into the coaching business like you, and people will be surprised that a lot of people, like who are really starting, they don't know, like, website. You think it's easy, or maybe even create a Facebook page, create a Facebook group, how to post in a Facebook group. You think if you do it every day, you think it's easy, but for some people, or even most people, it's hard for them. So just you just need to be a step ahead. So thank you for sharing that. Now, so it appears that you just go with whatever you follow what your customers are leading you to, or you if they ask you to do something, like you realize that it's their pain point and it can be turned into a business. So I believe that's what happened with your outsourcing company now. So can you tell us more on about how you pivoted from a yoga business into this outsourcing business? Is it correct? Can I call it an outsourcing business?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So we provide, I mean, it's called Simplicity Business Support. And we give business support to mostly solopreneurs, so women and men who are running their own business but have never had staff, have done everything on their own. So it's actually a really great space to be in, because for many of them it's the first time that they've hired a VA, and it's a big deal. And for someone who's created a business as well, to let go and to have that trust onto someone else, it's a big step. At the same time, I know the value of it, and I really believe in it, because I myself have been in that space where I'm just so time poor. I want to keep working on my business. I want to keep growing it, but I don't have the time or the energy or even the money to employ a staff member full time. And, even here in Australia, it costs a lot of money, and then you have to be responsible for their ongoing, you don't know if you've got enough cash flow coming in. So what I tell my clients is it actually gives them the flexibility to pick and choose the support that they need. And so I feel like I've been fortunate. I've had two different perspectives, that I've been a VA client myself. And I mean, now that I have a team, I'm kind of still doing that. But at the same time, I know what it's like to be the assistant as well. So it's been, so yes, I did start with the offline business, which we still have, but now I'm only doing I guess I'm doing the virtual assistant tasks for that now, because I really needed to create more space to grow the freelancing business. So what would be helpful? Do you want me to talk about the relationship or between VAs and their client? What would be helpful for you, Marv?
Let's ask the viewers. What do you want to ask PJ Aguilar about, maybe about her outsourcing business? I would think that that would be helpful. I haven't talked about that from the perspective of the business owner, right? So how can VAs become, I can't I don't remember what I want to ask, but maybe what should how can you be a professional virtual assistant, and what are the common problems that business owners complain about virtual assistants, and how can they address that? Maybe you can answer it that way.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so at the very beginning, the very first time I hired a VA, so I did it, as I said, on Odesk before it was Upwork, and I think this is an issue that comes up with many new freelancers. Is there's so much competition out there, and likewise for someone who's just starting to hire a VA. How do we choose? There's so many people on the database. There's so many freelancers, and I think, and I mean, I'm biased now, but I think this is the advantage with Filipino freelancers, is that our English is really good, and the written English is really good, and it makes it so much easier for the client, for the business owner. And so what I actually did was I posted a job just to test, and I put, I think, 3 questions, because I wanted to make sure it wasn't just freelancers who were just putting in applications for everything. I wanted someone who would actually take the time to read what I want. And it was really basic, like, tell me, I can't remember what I said, if this is my business link, tell me what you think I do. And it's not hard, right? But what it meant was, if they took the care to actually click on the link and answered that question, I interviewed. I don't even think I interviewed them. I contacted them. And so I think to get started, it's just having, put in for jobs that you're interested in any of those directories, but then take the time to actually read what people want. And then after that, it's really the trust. I went through a lot of freelancers. I might do a job with them, but then it didn't really work out. So if you can just remember that it's about being in partnership, and a lot of business owners really want someone long-term, because it's a pain training someone, or, it takes time. You have to keep talking about your business and what you want. Also, you have to be really good at communicating by email or by the written word. I know lots of different clients are different, but I work really well on email. I don't even Skype my VAs or anything, because you have to remember, people are really time poor. That's why they want a VA. So be very, very clear with your written communication. Also, manage expectations and manage your time. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you're running a bit late, that's okay. We're all human too. So it's happened plenty of times where my team members are like, I'll do it, but something's come up with the family or something, but I'll get it done for you by this time, which is perfectly fine. And so, and likewise, if I give instructions and and it's not very clear, they just let me know. And so these are the learnings. As a client, I now apply, now that I'm a freelancer, and I make sure we have really good communication, that we always do the best we can to support our client, and we really try to understand their business, and that we feel that we are part of their team.
Yeah.
So there's a few questions there. I didn't read it.
Oh yeah. We'll ask. Ian asked something, but I just would like to add. I think your speaker is on. I think I can hear my voice echoing.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
It's okay. So my question is, do you offer just VA support, or anything really that a business owner would need, like graphics, website, or it's purely VA support?
So I have a couple of clients where it is general VA, but again, because there's how long's a piece of string. So what we're actually doing is we are niching. We're focusing on website updates. It's really web presence. So we've got some clients where we do their social marketing. We develop the posts and we schedule it. So because I want so myself and my team to also hone our skills in a specific niche. So while we can do we can do lots of things, it gets too hard. So we are very much focused now on websites, online marketing. If someone needs the odd admin job and they're really tight, then we're happy to do that, but we don't advertise it, because then likewise what happens is then we become the go-to people for web presence and for online marketing. And then and the good thing is, once you start having a few clients, is they can refer you on to other people in their network. So, if someone needs help with Facebook ads, I know to send them to Marv. So you start becoming the go-to person in that specific skill that you offer.
You mentioned you have 7 people in your team. So what is the mix of your team? So you have how many virtual assistants? How many doing online marketing? How many
So
graphic designers?
yeah, for sure. So
I'm just
we
curious.
it's myself, and then I've got 2 who do pretty much what I do as well. So general VA staff. So it could be across a number of different things. And then the rest of the contractors, it's specific for each job. So if we want a graphic design or logo design, then they go to our graphic designer. If they want copywriting, then I would get our copywriter to help with that job. But generally, and that's to help contain things as well. That the bulk of our job, myself and my other 2 VAs can do that. Also, they help me with my own admin stuff. So that's generally the flow of the work. I'd take on the bulk of the work, but then as soon as we have too many clients or too many deadlines happening at the same time, that's where I can start allocating jobs out. And that's a really good way to keep the business flowing.
So is it you facing the client and then everything like collecting payments and then you handle the dissemination of information to your team, and then of course the payment you give them a salary for that? Is that how it is really like a business?
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah, because that's the space that I like as well. Like I like being doing the customer interface. There's been times if I've been away or too busy, then I get them to contact the client directly. But it's good for the client as well that they just have one contact person. But I can reassure them that because we have a team, the work will get done within the time frames. So it's that trust factor again.
And then same as my question with your coaching. So how do you promote your business? Do you have an agency profile in Upwork, or it's really again connections and they discover you from your talks and social media, etc.?
So at the moment, no, we don't have, we actually haven't had to advertise yet, which is a really good problem to have.
Yeah.
So it's really word of mouth. And that goes back to what I said before. Your first few clients are going to be your best marketing for you. Treat them really well. And then they just market for me. The podcast has been good. I do have a community of yoga teachers and everything, because they're all followers of my podcast. So that feeds a lot. But generally it tends to be word of mouth. So they had good experience with me. They let their colleagues know. And at the moment we've got knock on wood, we've got a good amount of work that we haven't needed to go further, but
you have enough.
I do want to expand for 2018. So that's what I'm working on at the moment.
Okay, so let's answer the question from Ian. On a business owner perspective, what do you think is the right quality of being a freelancer for the benefit, especially of those who are eager to try online jobs or the VA starters? What is the right quality of being a freelancer?
Okay, hopefully this answers your question again. So I think there's
maybe also the right attitude. Is that what you mean, Ian? Or anyway, yeah.
So we'll wait for him to reply back. But I would say that there's a number of things. So one is like you need the skill. So I don't pretend. Well, I can do a little bit of design, like graphic design. I don't ever market myself as a graphic designer because I'm not. But what I am is I'm really good at, I can do website design. I can do the tech stuff, and I can understand what people want and give them that admin support for it. So I think that would be the first thing I'd say. You have to make sure you know your skill set, and that it's something that you are comfortable with, but also something you want to keep learning in. That's important. Like, don't advertise yourself in something that you absolutely hate to do, because it's not glamorous. Like, sometimes you're going to be having late nights, or you're going to have clients that, are going to be very stressed. You need to be in a space where you are comfortable with your craft, really. The next thing is exactly what you said, Marv, the attitude. So you don't need to be the expert. You don't need to have to be the number one person in that niche, but you need to have the care to get the job done. So I think half the time it's really the accountability. And I've had freelancers in the past where they start off really good and then they just drop off. And I'm like, okay, I would need to do the work myself, or I need to go get someone else to do it. And then that doubles the job. So do be realistic about your capacity. And get the job done. If you need an extension, that's fine. But if you can go in committed, I think you're already at an advantage. And the third thing I would say is the communication.
Exactly. Yeah.
Even at the very start, and be patient with your clients as well, especially if they're new at having a VA. They might not be communicating the best way either. So be proactive, always seek clarification. And we do this with our clients as well. I just want to make sure that this is what you want, and this is what I'm going to do for you. And then value add. So if it is this, because it's a space that you're very skilled in, they could ask you to do a task, but you could say, oh, yep, I've done it. And now you might want to do this and that. And I think this is something that a lot of freelancers, while you do have to get the job done, I think it's that extra value add if you can get the job done. And almost think of yourself as a consultant, because compared to your client, this is your expertise. So yeah, but you could say, hey, PJ, I've done the work you've done, but actually, or something like that. I think that would be an extra cherry on top.
I sorry you got cut off there, PJ. So you were mentioning, hey, PJ, blank, blank.
Oh, how's the audio now? Is that okay?
It's okay now. Okay.
Now, all I said was, where you can, be proactive, value add. So after you get attitude. A task, attitude. So being very proactive. So you might get the job done, but then if there's other information that that might make life easier next time. So you might know of another plugin or another method or tool, like let your client know, because what that shows is that you're really committed and you're invested in their success as well. And it's about having a long-term relationship.
And you care about their business. That's very, I really agree 100% on what you said, especially I think you mentioned skill set, attitude, communication, and value add. I think skill set will be secondary out of the things that you mentioned. For me, number one will be attitude and being proactive and communication. For my client, I make sure that I always communicate. I don't want him or her to tell me that, so where are you? What's happening? So sometimes they even apologize to me for not responding. So that's what I want, that they know that I'm always there, that I'm trustworthy. And I think attitude is that's part of attitude, being professional, and communication, because since you're working online, there's no way, you're not in an office, they don't see you time in and time out. So you have to be you have to be communicating at least depending on your contract, but you have to be communicating at least every day, and that they know that you're working. Especially for myself, I'm paid on a retainer basis. I don't need to time in or appear every day, but I just make sure that I'm there, and especially on the due date of my retainer. No, just kidding. But I make sure that I'm visible, and that I don't want to hear from them that, so where are you? Why are you missing? So I love it when they apologize to me and they say that, I'm sorry, Marv, I haven't been able to get back to you. So it means that I'm always there. So, well, yeah, thank you for that. Now I think I know you have another appointment, PJ. So do you have a Facebook Freelance Blend Facebook page? So maybe if a question is addressed to you, if you don't mind answering that, PJ. So my last question would be, you mentioned that you're expanding next year, and since you're hiring Filipino freelancers, some of our viewers or listeners might be interested in joining your team. They see that you're somebody who's passionate about your business, and they're attracted to you, and they want to work with you, knowing that you're also Pinoy. So can you tell us more about what your plans for next year, and if they want to, if there are openings, they want to reach out to you, can you talk about how they can communicate with you?
Oh, sure. Thanks. So yeah, I guess in terms of expanding, I mean, we launched this brand, Simplicity Business Support, only a few months ago. So it's really about where do we take it from here? And so I guess in terms of it's an interesting concept where I want to expand and get more clients, but I also want to be getting specific in the type of work that we give them. So like I said, while we can do other things, I am really interested in, so if anyone's got skills in web design, specifically Divi, we use Divi 3 for all our things, because I want to get to the point where we can service more clients and concurrently as well. So obviously at the moment, as with anyone, time is limited. So we can only have a handful of, a certain number of clients on our books at a given time. So that's something I'd like to expand, but in a way that I need to have a team that I can trust. So if it's people I can trust, then it's people that my clients can trust as well. So our website is simplicitybusiness.com.au, being in Australia, and you can email me at hello@simplicitybusiness.com.au.
Okay, so we flashed the website on the screen, simplicitybusiness.com.au, and to reach out to you, hello@simplicitybusiness.com.au. All right, that's it.
We're on Facebook as well, sorry. So there's the Facebook is Simplicity Business Support.
Okay, and they can just send you a message if they're interested to join you. So just watch out. Maybe a lot of people will be joining you after watching this video and listening to the podcast interview. Anyway, before we go,
if you have any questions about freelancing or kind of from the client perspective as well, or if you're looking to grow a team, whatever, I'm more than happy. Just tag me in the Facebook group or send me a message. More than happy to help.
Are you planning to come home anytime soon?
You know what? I really want to. My husband is Australian and he's never been to the Philippines. So
maybe
we've just come back. We've just come back from New Zealand actually. So I said the next trip has to be to the Philippines because my boys have never been to the Philippines either.
Yeah, so I'm sure it will be a wonderful experience for them if they visit their homeland. Anyway, if you're just let me know. We can probably invite you in one of our meetups if we have one during the time that you're coming. Maybe before we end this Facebook Live session, your message to Freelance Blend listeners and viewers.
Okay. My message would be, I guess, look, we all have trouble with confidence. We all have, and I still do it every day. We always think someone else has done it before or can do it better than us. But like Marv said, really, if you've got the attitude and the care and it's something that you want to do, whether you haven't started yet or you've dabbled into freelancing and want to grow, I think wherever you are is where you're meant to be. And then it's just all about taking the next step. Keep reaching out. The resources that Marv's made is fantastic. And I think the more time you spend with other freelancers, the more you can learn from each other. We can all learn from each other. And it is like, it's not glamorous and it is hard work, but it's what Marv says, it's the freedom, it gives you the flexibility, and it lets you do something for yourself. And I think that for me is the most fulfilling thing about being a freelancer and helping other people along the way as well. So thank you for having me. Have a great party.
Thank you. I hope you can join us. So ladies and gentlemen, PJ Aguilar of simplicitybusiness.com.au. Thank you again, PJ, and we hope to have you back soon or to meet you when you come here to the Philippines and meet your family. Thank you.
For sure. Maraming salamat. Bye.
Yung nga pala, we forgot to talk in Tagalog. Nakatakas ka. Okay. Bye.
Thanks,
bye.
Mark.
Thank you guys for watching. Bye.